This is 8.2 Health Consultation Client 1. With my client, there are controllable and uncontrollable variables to him. One controllable variable would be weight. This can be controlled by my client on how much they eat and the certain amount of exercise they do and what they eat, as long as they have a balanced diet or they don't, for example. This will vary their weight, as if they don't have a balanced diet, they are more likely to put on more weight and then be fatter. Whereas if they have a more balanced diet and do exercise, they're more likely to have less weight. One uncontrollable variable would be genetics. Genetics can make the way you appear, and this can't be controlled or changed by yourself, as it's just through your genetics from your family. The other uncontrollable variable would be gender, as you are born with a gender and this cannot be controlled by you. Here we have the normative data for the heart rate check test, and we also have a graph representing Finn's scores in this test and comparing them to the normative data. Here we can see that Finn had a resting heart rate of 60. From the normative data, we can see that Finn's heart rate is in the category for normal adults' heart rate, but just about is. This is good, as Finn's heart rate is at a good level and means that we don't have to worry about the possibility of a heart attack. We can also see from the graph the average, below and above average. We can see from this that Finn's heart rate is only 5 more beats than below average. This can be a bit worrying for Finn, as if his heart rate drops any more, it is then below average. And if you are over 100 beats, then this is threatening and you'd have to seek help straight away. This is good that Finn is far away from this point and has a healthy heart rate, as long as he keeps it going. Here we have the normative data for blood pressure, and we also have a graph comparing Finn's results to his blood pressure is and what it should and shouldn't be. Here we can see from the graph that Finn's systolic blood pressure is nearly above hypertension, but his diastolic is below average. This is very worrying, as it's just above average. It's a lot and is a lot above average. We can see this as if you have a blood pressure of 130. Systolic blood pressure is above the ideal blood pressure, and Finn's is at a pressure of 130. This shows us that we will have to monitor his blood pressure and try to get it down. Finn's blood pressure will be high due to the poor diet he has and putting on weight from this, so therefore we will have to get him a healthier diet. To summarise Finn's blood pressure is that his systolic pressure is too high and its diastolic pressure is too low, so then we'll have to monitor it regularly and check it up. Here we have the normative data for the body mass index check and a graph comparing Finn's results to the averages. Here from the normative data we can see where Finn's at. Finn is 6'2" and weighs around 85 kg, which is around here, which is in the overweight section. So this then shows us that Finn is overweight. This might not be accurate, as it doesn't take in fats and muscle, as muscle weighs more than fat. So what might be the case for Finn is that he's a lot more muscular than fat, but for weight it says that he's overweight, so we will still have to monitor his weight, but as long as the weight's from muscle and not being obese, then it's not as bad as it sounds. We can also see from this bar chart graph Finn's results compared to the averages. In this it also says that he is between being overweight and obese, so he is at the overweight section. The same relies here for Finn, as all of his weight isn't just from fat, so it's not as bad as it sounds, but we will still have to monitor it just to make sure that it is always him not getting fatter and that it is him putting on more muscle. To summarise Finn's body mass index, it is at the stage of being overweight, and we will have to monitor this and try to get it down if it is to do with him having too much fats in his diet, as he did say that his diet isn't poor, so we will have to sort this out for him and get him on a diet routine and to drop his weight down. Here we have the normative data for the lung function check and also a graph comparing our client's scores to the average. Here we can see from the normative data that Finn is a male and is around 185 centimeters and is 16 years old. So he should be hitting around the 530 mark. Here we can see from his scores that one of them he did hit the 530 mark. We can also see here from his scores that they are very different. I saw from the test that at the first time of doing it, he did not put in as much effort as he did in the last two, which is the reason why it's so much lower than the other ones. This is good that Finn's lung function score for the last one was at the exact mark of what it should be for his height and age. This is good as it shows that he's on track and not below average and not too far above average. We can also see here for the normal average that he isn't far off that either, which is good. If it isn't the case that on the first and second attempts he didn't try as much effort and that was him putting in as much effort, then we will have to keep a close look on it and test it again to see if they were or weren't his normal scores. It's hard to summarise Finn's lung function as his scores are so different, but on the basis of what I saw in the test, his last one was where he put in the most effort, and that is exactly where he should be. So to summarise it, his lung function is at a good place right now, but we've got to be careful of that there were scores a lot below his average and what he should have been at, so we'll have to monitor that. Here we have the normative data for the waist to hip ratio check and also a graph comparing Finn's results to the ideal and below or above. Here we can see from the graph and the normative data that Finn's results puts him just above at a low risk, so he's at a very low risk. This is slightly worrying as it's not in the ideal section, but at the same time it's not too worrying as it's only a low risk. This could be because of the poor balanced diet that Finn has, which then means that he's put on some weight. So this can then be changed if we can up his balance and up his diet to be more balanced, and then he won't put on as much weight, and then hopefully, but after this, his waist to hip ratio would have dropped a bit and will be in the ideal section. To summarise Finn's waist to hip ratio is that he is at a risk but a very low one, and that it can be changed very soon if we can improve his diet and stop and lose him some weight by doing this. Here we have the consultant summary, the strengths and the weaknesses for his goals, his physical activity, his nutrition, his lifestyle and his physical health. His strength for the goals that he set is that he's building on his fitness levels for his basketball as his performance and his abilities are at a good level and are better than his fitness levels. This is good as he will be able to maintain this good performance and ability during the game for longer when he has better fitness levels, so he'll be able to play the game for longer and help the team out even more. His weakness for this is that his fitness levels are very low compared to his ability, so it is going to take time for him, and it means that he isn't able to play as long in games. So then his ability isn't being used to the full potential for as long as it could be. His strength for his physical activity is that he's doing a lot of basketball and gym work, which will help his fitness levels. This is good as it will improve his in-game performances, as he'll be stronger on the ball and from playing lots of basketball, he'll be more experienced and have a better technique in certain things from all the training that he is doing. However, his weakness to this is that he is doing the same thing every week, and it could be getting boring for him, which means he might miss some sessions, might not put in as much effort. It also is a weakness, as if it isn't improving him as much as something else could be, he is then wasting time and not improving himself as quickly as he could be. His strength for his nutrition is that he eats 3 meals a day and that they are proper made meals. This is good, as he needs this for the amount of exercise that he is doing, and that if he's eating proper homemade meals instead of fast food, that is healthier for him. Despite this, Finn doesn't eat much veg compared to everything else and does eat more fats than he probably should, he said. This is bad, as it means that his diet isn't very balanced. His strength for his lifestyle is that he does a lot of exercise and also other things outside of sport to relax him and have something else to do, which is good to take his mind off things so he's not stressed all the times, and then when it comes to playing sport, that he's ready to play it and doesn't have other things on his mind which could affect his performance. However, he isn't sleeping enough or his sleep isn't deep enough, so then he'll be tired when doing exercise, and this could potentially stop him from fulfilling how long or how well he could play, as he's not fully focused as he is too tired. His strength for his physical health is that he takes part in lots of basketball training and also gym work that is related to his basketball and is improving his performance. His weakness is that he has an ongoing injury that needs surgery, so will restrict him from doing certain performances and also might make his performance worse. One of his 3 weaknesses that we're going to try and improve is that he's had his injury, and that it's been an ongoing injury for around 2 years and that it hasn't been sorted out. The strategies to improve this would be to refer to a physio. By this we can then see what is really wrong with him and what he needs to do to get back to his normal fitness, and then that we know how long he might need out, and then we can base when we are going to start his program on that. He has said that his injury is in his cartilage in his knee, where to do with the muscle strength, so for this he would have to do regular stretching and body weight work on his knee to regain the muscle that has been lost. The second weakness is Finn's sleeping pattern that needs to be improved. Finn sleeps between 5 to 7 hours a night and goes to sleep at different times, and his sleep isn't very deep. Strategies to improve this would be setting a timetable. By this we mean setting a timetable for each night where each night he's going to bed at the same time and roughly waking up at the same time, but that will vary on when he has to start his college days. This will be good, as it will get him into regularity and his body will function the same every day. Also, when setting up the timetable, he needs to set a time where he goes off his phone and all devices so he can let his brain relax so he's able to get to sleep on time. And then the last strategy with this is to get an app to monitor his sleeping pattern. A good one for this would be the app called Headspace, as it monitors how long he's sleeping for, how deep it is, so then he gets a rough idea of how much he is sleeping and how deep it is. The third and final weakness is his nutrition, and we want to improve his nutrition plan, as he doesn't eat enough veg and eats a lot more fats than he does veg. A good way of improving this would be making a weekly diet plan where he is having a completely balanced diet with 3 meals a day and all homemade meals. We can also help Finn with this, as we can tell him what is good to buy and what not to buy. Obviously we don't want to restrict him from eating all fats, as you can still have a balanced diet with eating fats, but we can just tell him how much he can have in a week and what he should be having in the week and what he shouldn't be having in the week. This will help him, as he'll have a good idea of what to have, and then hopefully he'll be able to get a more balanced diet and a better nutrition plan, which will then help his weight and his in-game performance, hopefully.